Um, yes. It says I can't share my screen though.
Oh, actually, I gotta make you a host.
Yeah,
All right, you're a co-host now, so you should be able to now. And we're gonna use the same process with Jim in a couple of weeks. Like we'll meet with him and go through the process, even though his situation's kind of unique. It'll be interesting to get that feedback, you know, from him before he takes off.
All right. Are you looking at my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
I see it.
So it's just a general form that we want to use. It's a form that we would sit down and go through with the employee. We wouldn't send it to them to fill out. We'd want to sit down and have that conversation so we could make sure we get as much detail as possible. So it just, we start with like what prompted you to start looking for a new position. Was there a certain thing, like whether it's salary, was it working remotely, like whatever, whether that made you decide to take the position ultimately. And then also just going into detail of the position here. Like, did you feel like you were supported? Did you feel like you had the resources that you needed? What did you think about the culture of the district? Is there anything that we could have done differently to have you stay here? And then also just a very open conversation of, is there any concerns that you want to share with us of things that we could do to improve? Did you share your concerns with anybody in the district prior to leaving? The big thing with that is just because we've been doing a lot this year with rounding and just having a lot of conversations. So if somebody has something come up, did they have that conversation with the building principal or like a team leader, anything before making that decision? And then just more detailed about, did you feel like you had feedback about your performance and just different areas of what we can improve on? We did, like Allison said, we did do this with one employee and it was really great. We got like both good and bad feedback, but what was nice was the feedback that she said that we could improve on were already areas that we're working on. So it was just, yeah.
So do you both participate in the exit interview, or who runs that?
So I think the goal is for us to kind of tag team it. Like this one,
Okay.
just for the timing, I ended up, but like for Jim, both Allison and I will. Allison, I think you're on mute.
We talked a bit about figuring out based on perhaps position who would do it. So like teachers, Lindsay might do those. And then if it's like administrators or coaches or like leadership positions, we might tag team it, or I might do those. We're kind of working on that whole HR piece since it falls typically in the business office, but sharing it is around hiring is typically shared. So still working through that, but with Jim, we decided we would both do it. So.
Okay. Andy, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask real quickly then. So how does this get communicated to the board or used, afterwards? So you go, you have an exit interview, you collect the information. What are we doing with it next? Are we bringing it to the board? Are we, just using it on your end? I guess what's done with that information?
I would say it's a little bit of both because it's a Google form. So we'll be able to kind of generate all the responses and just see if there's a trend that we're seeing consistently across all of the answers. And then it's something we can definitely, like, we'll be talking with leadership, especially if it's like something in the process, so they have that feedback. But then also definitely, I would say, Allison, we'd be able to bring it to the board.
We're trying to triangulate our data. So right now we've implemented a rounding process. So every teacher, every staff member has an opportunity to round with either their building principal or their direct supervisor. And we all have the same questions. So Lindsay, myself, building principals, we're asking staff the exact same questions. So then we're pulling themes out of there, because if there are things that are popping up a lot or our themes, and then we've got our meetings with the association. So they're meeting with their members and they're bringing us lists of things. So we're trying to see where those things might match what we've heard in rounding. So this is like another tool almost to like validate, because you don't want to go down a rabbit hole trying to fix a problem that's not really a problem if it's just like one disgruntled person, you know what I mean? But if you see themes in all of these areas, then we know that there's a process we need to fix and something we need to. And another piece of that is going to be our staff survey, which is going to be anonymous, and it will go to all staff, and it'll just, so I mean, we'll have like all this data around what processes do we need to fix. And then Andy, just during the summer, we'll be able to answer your questions when we're going through, when we come to you and say, okay, here's where we need to staff, we'll be able to say, and here's the reason why these people left, versus last summer, we couldn't really answer that question for you.
Yeah, no, I think that we probably had in the past less visibility on why, and having something like this is a good idea to quantify it, but it's also just about having a process that people can expect. I think there's just a lot of benefits for us. So I mean, I'm glad that we're looking at that.
Well, and I think too, just all these different ways of getting feedback from staff, I think it will make staff feel valued too, and their opinions, especially when you say it's not just an exit interview or a staff survey, that you are willing to make processes or systems in place to fix those larger themes that you're finding too. I think that that's really going to benefit the district like culture also.
And the power, like we always talk about when we do that final survey with staff, the power is really in the action plan, right? So like, that's our opportunity to say, so we've asked you all this stuff all year, and we asked you to do the survey, and we listened to you, and now we actually are taking action based on what you said. It wasn't just, oh, well, we're going to make it look like we're, do you know what I mean? Getting feedback, then we do nothing.
I do.
With it.
Yes, no, I do.
Right.
I think we've all been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have one question, just to follow up, which is, this is a good thing to do. I don't think that, we need to take any action on it, just make it happen, but is it something that we want to explore as a policy? Just to have,
that's not a bad idea. One of the things I'm bringing to the full board is to start that policy work and, to go through and do that whole quick check and figure out which policy. Right. So I would say like we hold on to it, and when we get to that the policy around hiring practices, then we just include something like an exit interview.
Okay.
All right, excellent. Moving on to the item 2B, which is the breakfast program for the 2022-2023 school year.
Such a mouthful to say that now, 22, 23.
Oh God, and that's next year. Oh,
I know.
You're moving right along here.
I know.
So I'm going to share my screen again. So basically, we were told that breakfast would no longer be free starting next school year. So the district has to decide if that's something that we want to continue to offer. So we have three scenarios. The first is we continue to offer free breakfast for all students, and then the district would absorb that cost. Option 2 would be the district offers breakfast, and students that qualify for free and reduced would continue to receive it for free, and then students that are considered paid would have to pay. And then the third option is that we just don't offer breakfast at all. And the lunches are still continuing to be free. The lunches haven't changed at all. One of the big things that I wanted to point out, that if option 2, that we offer it and students that are free and reduced or paid, it would not, like, a big thing is the stigma. You don't want it to be apparent if somebody is free or reduced or paid. So one of the big things is that breakfast would run through Aramark at the point of sales device. And so it just would show up in Infinite Campus. It would not be visible to anybody else coming through. It would just show up as a charge on the student's account. So if the student wanted breakfast, they'd be able to go and check out, and nothing would look different. So that's one big thing that I wanted to make sure that was clear. So in here, I put together some financials of what it would cost if that was something that we wanted to think about taking on the cost. But the other piece that I wanted to just say is that if we opt to offer the lunches, like our contract with Aramark ends in June of this year. DPI says that we're allowed to do an agreement, it's not a contract, with them for 1 more year. However, we're not tied to the the pricing of the meals if we opt to do it for an extended year. So our consortium, which is us, Mapledale, Indian Hill, and Fox Point Bayside, would have to negotiate with Aramark on a cost of what we want to charge for, or what we would be charged for breakfast, but they have a lot more flexibility of what they'd be able to charge us. So that's something that we'd have to take into consideration. Right now, we get charged $1.55 for lunch from them. And then the other piece, just the financial piece. So last year we ended with about 96,000 in fund balance in Fund 50, which is food service. So in the last 2 years, we really haven't spent, obviously, our full amount in Fund 50. So that's why we have a pretty healthy fund balance. For the goal is that your food service program should be self-sustaining. It should not be making a profit. So like at the end of last year, DPI said, hey, you guys have a lot in fund balance. Like, how are you planning on using it? We really want to have that come down. And so just talking about, like we're going to be in person all year this year. So in normal years, the district has budgeted about 500,000 for food service. And this year we're at about 331. So we're on track with hitting that it's been a normal year. The other thing to keep in mind is that we do get about 60,000 from the parochial school. So in that 506,000 that we're budgeting, that's also the cost that we get for the expenses of the parochial schools, because with the way that our contract is set up with Mapledale Indian Hill, if you remember, we also service the parochial schools as well. So before I open up the financial, do you have any questions about what I went over right now?
Real quickly, I mean, so are we required to include parochial schools?
Oh, yes, parochial school, yeah.
Wow, that's another one. But at least they chip in. Yeah, I don't even want to go down that path. And then I guess the other thing is we talked a while ago about Nicolay wanting to be part of this consortium. I mean, are they joining us? Does that help us financially?
No, we went through and looked at it with the size that Nicolay is, and Nicolay also services their own private schools. I can't remember them off the top of my head. Both EPI and Aramark said that we wouldn't be able to do a shared consortium agreement with them, just because you can only have one person be the fiscal agent to do the private schools, and then just the massive amount we'd have to add staff. And then we would all be sharing the cost to staff Nicolay as well. And so I know Nicolay is planning on going on their own.
Okay. And so are we bidding out? I mean, is consortium doing an RFP for next year?
It depends. If we want to offer breakfast, we do not have to go out to RFP because we can do that extension of 1 year. If we don't offer breakfast, then yeah, we would go out to RFP.
Okay. So what kind of timing do we have to make that decision?
Ideally, probably within the next couple of weeks, just because with Mapledale and Indian, Fox Point Bayside, we want to get an RFP put together in the next few weeks so we could have that out and be ready to go in the spring.
Lindsay, have you talked to them about what they're thinking they're going to do?
Yep. So they would not offer breakfast, but if we opt to offer it, they will, because they have to follow what we end up doing. But they would not offer it normally. They said
we'd be leading the way on that.
Yeah.
And then the other question is, well, I mean, two-parter, and then I'll be done. But I guess the question is, how popular is the program right now? And two is, I mean, is this something that we'd want to take a survey at?
I am sorry, I have to reshare my screen because it won't let me get the financial document. I think it would be beneficial, but the other piece that I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of, and I'm no idea why it's not letting me share it. Allison, are you able to see the document?
Is it in the, hold on, is it in board docs? Hold on.
No, I put it in the board folder.
Okay.
So it's in board meetings and our regular meeting, January.
Is it a spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
So if you click on the breakfast document, and then at the bottom, there's a food service cost link.
Oh, you got fancy. Now I see it. I was just looking for I have to request access.
Hold on. I think I see you in it now. And I can share this with you. But I put together just an overview of what the financials would be.
Oh,
I know, it's technology, I'm telling you.
Okay, can you guys see it?
mm,
Okay.
Okay, so for Glen Hill, this is just an overview of how many kids or how many meals were served within that month. So as you can see, it was an average of about 86 students in August, which in summer, that's just the drop-off meals. So it between 157 to 238. The other thing to keep in mind is with the reimbursement rate that we would get, can you scroll down a little bit, Allison? For students that are free, we get $1.89 per meal. For reduced is $1.59, and for paid is $32. So I just did a quick scenario with September's numbers for and on the right-hand side, sorry, Allison, if you scroll
Oh,
up,
you're good.
is just our percentage of what our free, reduced, and paid are. So it's kind of, you have to factor in, okay, this is what it would cost us. So right now, if we look at what we're running at right now, we would probably run about 125,000 projected for the year. Based on the reimbursement rates from DPI, they would cover about 20% in reimbursement. So we would be looking at about 100,000 if we wanted.
Lindsay, would that be if we did the scenario where free kids got free breakfast and paid kids paid?
No, this would be like if the district absorbs
If we
the
just
whole
paid for
cost.
everybody?
So here's the thing that's hard though, is that if based on the percentage, and if I say like we have 168 kids that have taken lunch, because the lunches have been delivered to the classrooms, we're not tracking which specific students
You're
it
talking
is.
about breakfast, right, Lindsay?
Yeah, just breakfast.
Yeah, you keep saying lunch, so I just want to
I'm
be sure.
sorry.
Okay.
So,
Breakfast, yeah.
With breakfast, it's delivered to the classroom. So we're not able to track right now which specific students it is. So if we say, okay, 167 students are taking it,
Yeah.
we don't know how many of those kids are free, how many are reduced, and how many are paid. So this is just based off of a rough estimate of like, this is all the students in the total percentage. So I mean, to be honest, it would be a big take on with the finance piece, but I guess to Andy's point, I think it would be it would be beneficial to find out what families are thinking, if it's something that they would still want to take, because is it a convenience? Because we want to make sure that students are getting meals. And one of the other things that we did ask DPI in the conversation that we had with them was, could the district purchase food and just give it to students at breakfast? And unfortunately, we can't.
why not?
It's against the food service guidelines, because you're not able to offer it. So it's like, I couldn't say, could we just pick up a bunch of bagels each day and give it to kids?
Right.
No, unfortunately
That
not.
is, oh my God,
I know.
that's so silly. And I feel like it's in there to help people like Aramark or companies like Aramark. That's ridiculous.
Mhm.
I think that if we have to do this in a couple weeks, I do like the idea of, I know we survey constantly, but I think knowing who would take advantage of this, I think would be important before we make a decision about it.
So do you anticipate, because obviously if you say, hey, if breakfast is free, would you take it? A whole bunch of people are going to say yes.
Right.
So would you anticipate it just being like a one question, like, does your child currently take breakfast? Just to get an idea, or no? How would you anticipate that survey looking?
I would say, does your child currently take breakfast? And would your child continue to take breakfast if you were charged?
If you were charged, yeah, okay. Yeah, that'd be like 2 questions. We could shoot that out.
I like that idea.
Yeah, just another data point. I mean, it may not give us that much more because, and we see maybe 25% of people are taking it, but I mean, I think we ought to at least try to get something out real quick. It'll help us, and maybe we end up having a special meeting. I don't know. And we have a regular meeting next week, so I don't know when we decide this.
I'm optimistic. I feel like we've been getting pretty good response from surveys from families. So
Yeah.
I think we could do a quick couple questions and probably get
It
some
would-
info.
It would be nice is this something that we could possibly take action on as early as next week, do you think?
I think
Or
we
is
could
this,
start a survey this week and then I
Okay.
could have a
And
general.
put it on the agenda for Wednesday?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, we'll
So
do
I
that.
guess
Last,
the question is that, do you think it would be beneficial to put information, like, I feel like we have to inform people the question, the reasoning behind just stating that lunches or breakfast will not be free next
Yep,
year.
that that's ending, yep. Yeah. So free breakfast program is ending. We have to make some decisions as a district around if continuing breakfast. Can you answer these questions? Yeah.
Mhm.
And could we give them an approximate price? Like, would you take it if you were charged? And then, do you know what I mean? It would be roughly,
I mean, we could do it at the range. I mean, I feel like as a consortium, if we were to negotiate with Aramark, I don't know how much higher than 155 we'd really want to go with them. Just because that it obviously does add up, and lunches are about 355. So it would definitely be less than that.
yeah, I think a range would be helpful. I'm just thinking as a parent, you know what I mean?
right.
A couple bucks, I
Right.
might say, yeah, it's worth it. Okay. All right, we'll do that and we'll put it
Great.
on Wednesday's agenda.
Okay, thanks. All
right.
right, that's it for a new business. Now we're on to visitor participation. I'm not going to go through the whole process. Is there anybody on here that has a question or has a comment for
No.
visitor participation? I'm just looking.
Hey, now I do, Mr. Franklin.
Oh, hi. I'm sorry. I didn't see anyone else in there. I apologize.
I was like, oh,
How
he said
are
no.
you?
He said no really fast. I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. I deeply apologize. I looked at my screen and it just popped up and there were a couple of people in here I didn't see.
That's okay.
So I apologize.
That's all right. And I'll be really, really quick. I just want, because I appreciate this being discussed about the exit interviews, because I do feel that there are some common themes that have occurred as a woman of color who grew up in Glendale my whole life, and the retention of staff of color and giving them equity of voice so that they can share their personal experience so we could move forward and figure out how we can keep and maintain and retain the staff of color if we are truly valuing diversity and just getting an understanding of everything and being just intentional about listening to why, just their why,
Mhm.
Mia, I really appreciate you saying that because one of our rounding questions is around how does your identity impact your work? And so Lindsay, I'm wondering if we want to add something like that to our exit interview question, something about like their identity in relationship to their position with our district. I think that might be, I really appreciate you bringing that up. That's a really good point.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that was all I had. I'm sorry, I got to go run and grab some kids.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. Good to see you.
You too.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here too.
I see.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Does anyone else have any comments for visitor participation?
Yeah, if I can jump in, I just wanted to reinforce. I had a quick question too, as I was looking at the numbers about the breakfast program, and I just want to advocate that it is a tremendous program. And I don't know, again, because I came in late, what the district cost is on our part, but I really think that with the number of students that are free and reduced lunch, that it is a program that has to be kept in place if at all possible. And I know, and again, I'm not sure about the actual numbers, like what it's going to cost a district, but if we can absorb that, I really think that it is a definite worthwhile program. When I in 8th grade, when I see the kids come in, and I saw the trend, like, it started off slow, but we're looking at what I think 250 some kids now. It's really picking up pace, and there's more and more kids that are taking advantage of this program. And so, if at all possible, please consider making sure that we can maintain it. And if the district can pick up the slack, the tab for that, that would be even better.
And Mike, one of the things is, for our free and reduced kids, they would continue to get that free regardless. It's just trying to determine how we want to do it for the students that pay for lunch. So that's kind of why we want to do that survey for families. But yeah, absolutely. For our free.
Is it an enormous cost to the district if we pick up the tab? I missed that piece of it. So if
It's
we
probably
offered it
about
to everybody?
it's about 100,000 with
Okay.
factoring in what we would get from reimbursed.
Yeah.
And that I would say at least 100.
So yeah, we want to survey families to see, like, if you're a paid family, how likely are you to pay for breakfast? You know what I mean? Are you using it currently, and would you continue if you had to pay? And so maybe in our survey, we put a note, like, if you're currently a family on free and reduced, you would not have to. Do you know what I mean? Just so
Mhm.
that's clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To your point, Mike, like there's the increased participation of like let's say 250 kids. So the question is that of those 250 kids, how many of them are free, reduced, and paid? But I agree. Like it's a great program. You know, I definitely understand. We were kind of all hoping that they would do the breakfast one more year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also,
Thank you.
hello, oh, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Birmingham. Yes, Ms. Davis, do you have something you'd like to add to visitor participation?
Yes, I would. Thank you. I'm the school
Mhm.
social worker, and thank you, Mr. Birmingham, for saying that. But I want to just advocate for the same thing. I think we're all on the same page, right? Hungry kids can't learn. We'll have a more difficult time learning at times. So would love to see that. Thank you, Lindsay, for saying, like, we're thinking about creative ideas. Maybe that's not possible. My dream, I like to just throw it out there, would to be like, we provide just like fresh fruit, healthier options. I know sometimes with just, you know, packaging and sugar, it's sometimes not the best thing to fuel our kids right away. But if there was a world where we had the funding and the means to just like have fruit, yogurt just out every day, and it was just whoever wanted to grab some breakfast, staff or students, that'd be great. But would love to just, where we are now, advocate for just having breakfast available. I know some students will maybe, you know, keep things for later to take home or for snacks throughout the day. So I think there's a lot of benefits, even if they're not eating it right away at like breakfast time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I've seen that too. Yeah.
Mhm. So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to come in and just say, hey, would love to see that continue if possible. But yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Birmingham.
All right. Is there, I'm just gonna say, I don't see anyone else on here, but is there anyone else for visitor
Just
participation?
in case we missed them.
I know. Okay, I'm gonna take that as a no, and now we need to have a motion to move into executive session.
I'll move.
I'll second that. Voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.